we'll start with reflecting on Tuesday, because obviously defeat, but a very good performance personally. So with that mix, how did you feel after that?
Massively mixed emotions. Um, Ultimately, the result probably outweighs the performance. A few of the lads and the management were very complimentary afterwards, but to me, kind of empty, because I said to them, I'd rather us win 3-2 and have a poor game. I'm not really. Yes, personal accolades are good, but for me, if the team does well, then that's the main thing, and that's been the case whenever, like for the past 5 years being here. I just want the team to do well. If I can contribute to that, I can contribute to it, and hopefully, as much as possible, I don't want to hinder them. So, yeah, it was mixed feelings.
I guess you might not have seen it this way with it being a defeat then, but some that were there said that might have been your best game in a nutshell. Would you agree with that? Do you think?
Um, Potentially, but it kind of depends what you like, what you're looking for. Some people will be saying that based purely on shot stopping, but there's a lot of other facets that go into the game. I don't really pay massive attention to individual games, and I find it hard thinking back too much. I had a nice game a few years ago away at Solihull where I made a really good save and feel like we might have won the game, and that felt a good feeling. But yeah, potentially it could have been my best game, but there's a lot more to how a goalkeeper must play for playing for Notts County than just shot stopping.
Obviously, Stuart Maynard, excuse me, Stuart Maynard's had 9 games now, and he's used all three keepers already in that time. You, Aidan, and Luke, of course. What's that like as a keeper when you're all being rotated?
Difficult. Same as any player within the team, to be fair. Most players, no matter what position you are, you'd like a run of games where you can feel you can get into the flow, and you kind of get your match sharpness. I mean, the goalkeepers especially train ridiculously hard day in, day out, and that's been the case ever since I've been here. But there's just it's very hard to replicate match sharpness, whether that's through reserve games or training. Yeah, you kind of just want to get into that flow, but that probably just shows the kind of the position we've found ourselves in as a team at the minute, and it's reflective of that, which is a bit disappointing. But it's a stark reminder of the difficulty of this league. If you don't play to your standards consistently, it can quickly come back to bite you. And we've had some really good we've had some good performances in them 9 games, but the performances haven't equated to results on the whole. So yeah, that can be difficult.
Does the fact that your run as goalkeepers starting in the 11 has come last of those 3 mean that you've maybe got a real chance now of establishing yourself as the number 1 for at least the rest of the season?
I've not really thought into that, if I'm honest. We've got 3 pretty good goalkeepers at this club. At the point that Stuart came in, I was just coming back from an injury, so look, he was never going to put me in the team at that point, because I'd had maybe 1 week full training and we had a run of fixtures that were very difficult. I'm not naive to believe that, and I'm quite understanding of the situation. Luca had come into the building, he'd performed really well in training, and look, those of you that have been to the games when we'd played Crawley at home this season, he played in both and he'd performed admirably in both of them as well. So some people would have seen it's only fair to give him his opportunity, which I thought he did well in there. He come in at a difficult period, but then yeah, like the way results go, it's quite. You're trying to get a result over the line, and you'll make changes either way to kind of get that. And But I'm just, like I say, I'm trying to perform at the best for the club, and if that is the case, then I stay in the team till the end of the season. If I don't, we've got two able deputies there that are pushing me every day, and we've, between us as a three, and in fact, I'd say a five, to be honest, because Tom Wheel is the same, and we have a young lad, Malai, who trains with us a lot, who plays for the B team. Between the five of us, we've got a massive desire to kind of really improve the position within the team and also the kind of goal difference. We don't want to see that. It's disappointing for us, and that's a massive goal of ours before the end of the season. But we're working day in, day out to try and get to that. So ultimately, we take each kind of game as it comes, and whoever plays, then we've all got that same aim and same goal at the end of the season.
Yeah, I guess it all comes down to results as well, and obviously, the change in form is pretty stark. From the start of the season, first 3 months best form in the league, last three months worst form in the league. You kind of played in both of those runs, the good and the bad. From your vantage point on the pitch, what's the difference been? How has that happened that a team has had the best form in the league and the worst form in the league in the same season?
Probably very small margins, but very small margins in multiple areas, if I'm honest. The first half of the season, we still had a couple of really tough results in there, but those small margins, we were probably 1% on the plus side, and then the last 3 months we're probably 1% on the negative side. And look, the tightness of the league shows that how quickly that can change. It's frustrating, it's hard, and it is a stark reminder, like I said earlier, of how this league can be. And we have to make sure we pick ourselves up. We kind of continue working the way we are and tweaking small minor details, and we can't go away from what Notts County, what we've created as this football club and how we play football and what makes us different. We can't go away from that, because for the last 18 months you've seen what it's produced and what it can produce. And there is no better evidence to believe in the way you want to play than the last 18 months, in my opinion. Why would you go away from something that's been so successful? And we just have to make sure that we tip them scales to doing what we do well, but kind of being on the plus side of the fine margins and not the negative.
With that in mind, and mention that sort of that 1% the wrong way, so to speak, does it feel amongst you and everybody that it's really close to working?
Look, we have some games where we haven't been at our best and it's disappointing, but for a lot of the games we have had a good amount of possession. We've had long spells within the game where we've controlled them. What I would say over the last 3 months is we probably haven't made or created as many chances as previous, and that's not that's not a comment towards specific units within the team. That's us as a whole team. For the last 18 months, the goalkeeper's been a massive part of build-up play, and that's never going to change. And I think last year, I'm sure they said something like we were the highest team with goalkeeper involvements in goals, and that's kind of the fact I'm getting to you, that it's not just the attackers, it's not just the defenders. We maybe need to turn that possession a little bit more into maybe attacking dominance. I'm not sure whether that would be the right phrase, but we need to see a few more chances created in the final third, and like real good chances, and giving Maka good opportunities to score, putting Jody in good positions to either score or deliver a real solid, comfortable ball. And them kind of players who we've got in the team that are really expressive and creative, we need to put them in better positions and allow that to flourish. But on the other side, we've all got to do our best to kind of nullify the attackers. So yeah, you could say it's close, but we have to go out and prove that.
Would you say you've experienced this sort of form before at any point of your career? You know, having a spell of being so dominant, and then having a spell where your form is the complete opposite is really weird to have that both in the same season. If you had that before,
I wouldn't say so dominant to then go into a real tough sticky patch. The last 18 months is probably the period in my career where we have dominated games and won. But yeah, definitely throughout my career I've had spells where we've been playing good football and we've been the better team for periods of time, and then you go through lulls where it just doesn't quite click, or there's a change somewhere along the lines that causes a different team selection, a different style of play, and it can take a little bit of time for it to figure out. But what I would say about this period of time is the effort and the endeavour of both the players and the staff has never wavered. There is bodies here that have been here for 3-4 years now. Their work rate, like I say, their endeavour has never been as high as what it is at this moment. Like, we're all not happy with the way that the results are going. We do see a good direction in which we're going, but yeah, we have to find a happy sweet spot where that direction comes with results.
The way you're talking and the way that we've seen you act both on and off the pitch in the last few months, and before that as well, to be honest, and also the way that Stuart Maynard's been talking about sort of senior figures, it really feels like you're taking a responsibility at the minute. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's maybe just my personality. It's nothing different to what I would do usually. Maybe a stark realisation now that I am one of the elder statesmen within the group, so it has to be a bit more forthcoming and it has to be maybe a little bit more obvious, but I've not really been much different for my whole time at this club, and probably the last maybe 8 years of my career. Previously before that, the traits were still there, but you're just a little bit lower in the hierarchy of the dressing room to express them as much. But it's very much been how I am as a person, and look, I'll never shirk responsibility. I'll be the first one to come out and put my hand up when I've made a mistake. I'll be the first one to apologise to my teammates if I feel that I've not given them what they deserve. But I'm also the first one to accept that that's my job. Like, if I have a good game, it's my job. That's what I'm paid to do. Like, I'll never get too high, and hopefully I'll never really get too low.
That's great. That's all from me, Sam. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi, Sam. Not many from me, but firstly, you've mentioned how you've not really experienced this contradiction in performances, these vast contradiction in performances in one season. But is there anything that you're doing and saying off the pitch to other teammates, possibly younger teammates who haven't been in this situation before, to kind of pick them back up and get them going again?
I think one of the biggest things we've created here over the years is that we have a very safe learning environment at this football club. It's not a case of pointing fingers and people making errors. Like, football is a game of errors, and it's the team that make the least and the less serious errors that are probably going to win. But we have a very good environment where we're comfortable sitting down and talking how we feel in certain kind of instances in the game, what we think tactically, and I think we have the basis of some very, very talented footballers amongst the younger players within the group, and it's just kind of making sure that they don't stray away from what they've done. They're at this football club for a reason. They've been signed for a reason, for how they play, what they bring. And we're all just trying to get that extra 1% out of each other, and how can we improve ourselves slightly. And that's kind of the day-to-day message within the group. We're not here to kind of... Yes, sometimes people need motivation, but if you're not motivated to come and play for Notts County, the size of club it is, the fan base it's got, then it's very difficult for me to say anything different that's going to change that. There's a lot bigger things than my words that should be providing motivation to do your very best, and for us to try and improve as much as we can for this football club.
And like you said, in terms of the heritage and the size of Notts County, it's a massive club. Have you found that there's been kind of pressures from higher ups or fan base in terms of the league position compared to where you were just a few months ago?
I wouldn't say pressure, but there's expectation. There's expectation at every single football club, and I think the way we started the season this year, to be honest, the fans and whatever the following, they've probably got a right to have a higher expectation. On the spin of that, what I would suggest is, look, just because you have a heritage as a football club, it doesn't give you a divine right to be at the top of the league or fighting for playoffs, or a divine right that you're just going to turn up and win. Like, we don't stroll in every day and train like that, and we don't stroll in every day and play like that. We know at this football club, we want to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? We want to show that we deserve the honour to try and extend that heritage, and we want to work hard for it. But there's no divine right just because Notts County is Notts County in this league. So look, we're not daft. We know that the form over the last couple of months has not been good enough, and that's for our standards as well as what everyone else expects. And like I said to Adam, like, everyone has the endeavour to improve that, and we are working very hard day in, day out to do that.
At the minute, you're 10 points off 7th, but you do have 2 games in hand. A lot of people do say points on the board mean more than games in hand. Is there the belief still on playoffs, or has kind of the collective vision and idea revised since then?
I think whilst there is a realistic opportunity, there's no reason why we shouldn't be considering that, and that hasn't changed. Yes, the difficulty has become greater, but there still is a realistic opportunity of that. And if the way the games go and we pick up the results that we need and we get closer, you tend to find most of the time the team coming into the playoffs that just sneak in there because they're in good form tend to do very well in them. And I'm speaking from experience. A year I had at Blackpool, kind of, I think maybe end of February, mid-February, we were 13th in the league, and lads were thinking about their summer holidays, and we end up getting in the playoffs, and we beat Luton, who were arguably one of the best teams in the league that year, over 2 legs, and we go up through the playoffs. So it is there, and it's reachable, like it's within grasp, and we can't shy away from that fact, I don't think. Yeah, we have to understand that the form's not been great, but we still have an opportunity to give this football club a chance of going up. And if we put ourselves in an even better position, then what a magical story it would be towards the end of the season. But look, that's in the future. We have to make sure that we're focused kind of on the next game to put ourselves in a position to be able to compete for that.
My last question is, in terms of us entering now the crunch time of the season, the important phase of it, do you think that big dips in form like Count you're having at the minute can be turned over quickly and fixed, or do you think it is something that, on the whole, takes a little longer than people expect?
Because of the way the fixtures run and over the next month, I think we've got a lot of games in a short space of time. I think it's quite easy to ride a wave. It probably suits this situation a little bit better because you turn the corner, you get a result, very quickly you're into the next game and you're off the back of a good feeling of a result, and then you pick another result up, and then that snowballs and you keep rolling. If you look at the other side of it, if you get a poor result, you have a fixture within 2 days where you can go and right that wrong. So the next month, I think the way the fixtures fall, in terms of kind of timeline, I think it kind of sits quite well for us, and it gives us multiple opportunities to go and get some positive results and put in some positive performances.